Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe football show. Let me bring that in there. Or Joe's with us now as well. We've got some more people joining us very shortly as well. There's 635 of you here. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Leeds United were beaten at Ellen Road 1-0. By Burnley on another day. Maybe you could call it a smash and grab in terms of if they'd have scored their goal late on, because Leeds did dominate, but we didn't create anything. It was all huff. It was all puff. I know you're all angry. You've heard enough from me. Let's just go on over. And like Jaguar Skills just says, Evie looks pissed off as I do. So let's hand on over to Evie. Evie, how was that for you?
It was frustrating as hell. It was unfortunately last season, rinse and repeat, and people always roll their eyes whenever I mention conversion rate, but Burnley have the best conversion rate in the league this season so far. And I said, the other day, the fact that I was concerned about Burnley, the fact that they create very little, but they're incredibly clinical with what they do create, and that has happened once again, and we could have a million chances created, but if you don't have a number 9 who is experienced at scoring goals and decision making, then you don't score the goals. I feel sorry for Joseph, but that was a poor decision. At the beginning, that game goes completely different. The stats say we should have won that game. We score in the first 45 seconds, and we smashed that game to pieces because Parker can't play Parker ball. They actually have to take off their cardigans and get on with playing football. So, it was very frustrating. The late subs again. I'm annoyed at Fark for that. I think we needed change. Pirro for me was not the right change in terms of. We lost a lot of creativity when we took Solomon off and Aronson, both of whom I thought played really well. I know obviously Solomon's slip was, Steven Gerrard type slip kind of thing, but I thought that he was very creative, and I thought that Aronson as well did really well, and as some good free kicks. But yeah, just really disappointing and frustrating, and the fact that the ref, I'm not saying that the ref cost us everything, but he certainly cost us 2 points today, because
Just to
we
jump
at
in,
least should
Evie,
have had a penalty.
there seems to be this notion that you can't be critical of a ref, because if you're critical of a ref, then you think that you can still criticize the ref. Not saying we deserve to win, but
he gave us, blatant penalty for me. It was ridiculous. The fact that he's clearly very card obsessed, but for me, what's the point of being card obsessed if you're only going to pull out that second yellow card in the 98th minute? What's the point of giving a player a yellow card if a yellow card actually doesn't mean anything, because loads of their players committed 2 or 3 yellow card worthy events and then didn't get anything else for it because they were already on a yellow, and our players would commit one foul and get an instant yellow card. So I just don't see the point of being a card happy ref if you're not going to follow through and have the balls to actually send players off. I thought Rodon was very lucky in that first half. The last man tackle that the Burnley player actually stayed on his feet for. If he leans into Rodon a little bit more, that could have been a red card with him being the last man. But yeah, the referee for me, other than stopping for the applause for obviously the little 6-year-old boy Bob, that was the only the decision that the referee got right in that game, in my opinion. But yeah,
I think you've hit so many nails on the head there, Evie, to be honest. I don't think you missed a step, to be honest. Welcome back, and welcome back from your holiday and all that jazz as well. But yeah, Joe B, bit same old, wasn't it, really? Seen the movie before, do you think? Or am I being a little bit overcritical?
I see what you mean when you're saying it's a little bit same old, and we've seen this same thing played out again and again and again. But I think there's a little something that a lot of people, when they're applying their own reasoning to it, are sort of missing. So everyone will come out of this going, bloody Farker. We should have scored a goal there. At the same time, if it's instead of Mateo Joseph, Pat Bamford on the pitch, and he's the one missing the chances, you're saying bloody Bamford. I think it's a case of people sort of protecting their darlings and stuff like that. And it's like, just look at the overall thing. If we're missing chances, we need to look at the players that are missing the chances from time to time. Aronson, tons of energy. Admittedly, didn't create tons, but at least he's around the place causing problems. Peru's not got that same movement. And I think if we do Mateo off, Peru on, or something like that instead, then we keep that movement. But it's a case of maybe the subs weren't quite right again. But yeah, it's one of those annoying ones, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure it is. I think you make a good point on the Peru sub. It's I don't know what he gave us in that, but I'm not going to make this a Peru bash. And I thought, listen, I think there were certain players within the 11 that played well. Like you say, I thought Solomon did. I thought Gruev did. I thought Aronson did. But I think of that second half, and from a statistical standpoint, it's complete domination. But Paul, I can't remember any chances in the second half for Leeds United. The last chance I remember was early in the first half. I think Gruev had one shot on target from outside the area, and then obviously we know about the non-tot and we know about the Joseph one, and that's 3 to my mind. And then you think about how much ball we had in the second half, and again it was nothing for it. And then that last 10 minutes, Paul, do you know what? I'm actually annoyed because I'm thinking last 8 minutes, you're thinking have a go, and it was Burnley, you know.
Why are we bringing Tanaka on at 86 minutes? Answer me that question. Why are we bringing on probably one of the most gifted midfielders we've got at the club, central midfielders? Why are we bringing him on at 86 minutes? Only Fart can answer that question. Why are we bringing on Byram when we've got Schmidt?
Yeah, I agree.
What's on?
You know, why if Ampadu's mildly injured, he doesn't come out for the second half. I don't care if you're the captain.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you do not come out for the second half if you're mildly injured. All of this hero rubbish and stuff, I don't get it. I don't like it. At the end of the day, Solomon slips. Bogle with that goal, he's caught in betwixt and in between because he's got a player coming to his right hand side that he's trying to track and a player coming on his left hand side as well. So it's kind of like, what do I do? He needs to make the decision quicker. Had he gone to the player coming in, that they've ended up scoring the goal, it's a different game because he stops him from scoring. Meslier. That's all I'm going to say. Just for that goal, that's all I'm going to say. His positioning was appalling. I get he comes down, but and I'm not into bashing players, but the way that he comes down, it's not right. I know he was slightly unsighted, but he watches the guy running the entire way in. It was just a shambles for that entire thing. I don't think Bogle had a very good game. I think in terms of players that had a decent game, I thought Aronson played okay, was ratting around, his balls were nice, his touching was nice. Just that sounds really bad, that doesn't it? His balls were nice, his touching was nice. That doesn't come in a good way, sorry. Just his little interjection and his little incisive passes. Nonto's got to score. Nonto was 100%. He's got to score that goal. Going at the keeper and lifting it when all he needed to do was keep it on the floor, and he sends it straight between the keeper's legs. He's got to score. Substitutions happen too late, absolutely too late. What is the point when we're chasing the game of bringing players on at 70, 76? It's too hard for them to get into the game. And I like Rothwell, but I don't think he's going to bring anything attacking prowess-wise to a game when we're chasing it. Unfortunately, that's just my opinion.
I don't know what he does, to be honest. I
genuinely, I don't. He runs around and he looks fine, whatever. Peru, no idea. No idea. I didn't see him do anything. Ramazani, what are you bringing him on for that late? Why? Why? What is he going to do in that amount of time? It's just, I don't understand. Farker needs to stop being so stubborn, in my professional opinion. Not that I'm a professional, but he needs to stop being so stubborn. You know, it's one loss. It's our first loss. Whatever, that's fine. This needs to be a wake-up call for everybody, for absolutely everybody. Let's be perfectly blunt. Burnley are crap. I don't care what anybody says. They're crap. They got a good breakaway goal. Fair play. Did Meslier have to make any other massive saves throughout the entire game?
No, he didn't. No.
That's it. They're. You know, I was on a Burnley podcast a couple of nights ago, speaking to a couple of people there. They were shitting themselves about this game, absolutely crapping themselves. Literally, we rolled over like a little kitten, tummies up, just tickle me, and we'll not do anything. And that's that. Yes, I'm annoyed, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm sick of this 2 number 6s in midfield. He's got to do something different. He has to do something different. You know, there's this whole thing about the.
Can I just quickly though in response, like Gruev, did he play as a 6 all the time? I'm not too sure if he did.
That's the problem. You cannot turn a dolphin into a seal. You can turn a 6 into an 8. That's the whole problem. You can turn a player that is a defensive midfielder into a number 8. He's trying to do that, and it doesn't work.
Do you not think he played well there, Andre? I thought he was better than Ampadu.
I tend to disagree, honestly, because of course Ampadu was penalised by the foul he received in the first half. He made a couple of bad passes, more than a couple of bad passes. But I think going forward, we're playing with 2-6. I get if you're playing with 1-6, totally fine. If you're playing with Ampadu and him, you don't have progression going forward. And we saw that today because Aronson was absolutely nullified by their defense physically. He was nullified. He was trying to go everywhere, but was constantly blocked physically by the physicality. So with 2-6, we didn't have one progression. Imagine instead of Gruev Tanaka who can get forward. We saw Rothwell too, but so far Rothwell hasn't given anything to Leeds so far in terms of contribution.
But Gruev did get forward and did create chances.
Well, he got forward, but most of the time he passed the ball. And I think you need a different type of player there, for me, in my opinion. I appreciate him because it's very similar also to the way I used to play with my mates. But apart from that, he's a typical number 6. I think we need a different one next to Ampadu. Only one of the two of them. Because imagine, again, Joe, I get your point, but with Tanaka there, he's a totally different player. He gets forward.
Fair.
He shoots, it's totally different for me there. And because they're both good players, Ampadu and Gruev, but they don't give you progression. They occupy spaces, but they don't progress with the ball in terms of pass the ball and you cut him behind. Pass the ball and you they're not attacking players. That's the whole point. They can create chances from the back because they have vision and all that. They pass the ball quickly, but they're not attacking midfielders. That's the difference. That's what I mean.
It has to be.
No, that's fine.
It has to be one or the other. It has to be Gruev or Ampadu. It has to be one or the other, and then Tanaka in the middle as well. It can't be both Gruev and Ampadu. Gruev played fine. He played fine, but the problem is you've got 2 people playing a number 6 role, which just leaves a huge gap in the middle. And again, there's that disconnect.
But he didn't play the 6 today. He was a number 6 playing as an 8, you could say, but he didn't play the 6.
Problem that naturally they occupy the same space because of how they play. So then you have that disconnect with the midfield and the number 10. He might be pushing forward more, but you still have that disconnect with the number 10. And I still think Aronson had a decent-ish game, but it just the late subs. I don't get it. And Burnley make the first substitutions.
Yeah, if it was up to me, honestly, I would have subbed off Gruev rather than Ampadu, honestly. But I get probably, and I agree with Paul, if he was injured, he doesn't get off. He doesn't get into the pitch at the start of the second half, honestly, because too late. I don't
get why, like Gruev, I'm fine with him subbing Ampadu off because I don't actually think he had a great game. I really don't. I think his passing was off. I think he was going into tackles too rashly. Ampadu has come to this season with a chip on his shoulder, in my opinion. He's trying to prove that he's worthy of the armband instead of just allowing himself to continue like last season. He's trying to play up that role of being the captain when actually there's a reason he got the captaincy. And it was based on last year. And actually he hasn't been, him and Rodon haven't been the players from last season. I thought maybe that the knock to the head might actually do Rodon some good because he spent a lot of last year with a bandage around his forehead. So I thought maybe he might channel his inner Rodon from last year. But for me, I'd have taken Ampadu off and put Gruev and Tanaka on, not Rothwell, because Tanaka then gives you that versatility to go forward more. Yeah, but Gruev still allows you then to be to be kind of more defensively sound, whereas Rothwell is more forward thinking. So then when you've got a centre back who is struggling because of a head injury and then obviously goes off, you've lost your captain's gone off to injury. You know, you're trying to win a game whilst not conceding anymore. It just felt like we lost that midfield battle once kind of Ampadu and Gruev were separated, and then we brought on an attacking player and left Gruev on his own to kind of do things, and then the substitutions were crap, and that's on Farker. But for me, Ampadu wasn't at the races today.
No, and we went with that.
All of them,
he got that shot. He got that shot off, which I was so gutted. You know, that would have been an absolutely spectacular goal. And for as much as obviously we didn't create a great deal, I still think Trafford was probably man of the match today, because on another day, if it's a different goalkeeper in net, we probably do win that game 3-1, because we did have enough chances. And he made more saves than Meslier did. And I kind of looked at him and I said to my husband, you know, I wish, like, the last time I remember Meslier saving that many goals was the Liverpool 2-1 win. Was the last time I remember Meslier keeping.
Is he 100% at fault for that goal though? Because I'm not sure.
I don't think he
more
is.
Bogle than Meslier for me.
Yeah, more Bogle.
Bogle should have slid in. He should have slid in, and then it leaves the height for Meslier to be able to see what's going on.
Makes him make a decision sooner. He doesn't even get the shot off, and it's like he waited for him to pull his leg back to take the shot, and then decided to go on. I'm like, well,
which is too late. Goalkeeper can't saying it, and again, it's left on.
It was going in when he.
It's left on Meslier then to kind of enjoy the backlash of everybody, and there's a lot of people that are going to be feeling crap about themselves. Joseph for not scoring, Solomon for slipping, Bogle for sliding in or just being indecisive, Ampadu for being reckless and kind of injuring himself. Again, the same for Rodon. You know, there was a lot of players that were at the races, but there was a lot of players that weren't. And unfortunately, the players that were at the races weren't of a good enough quality to make up for the players that weren't. That's the issue.
I think that's fair. JT, you've just joined us. Do you want to give us your thoughts on the game, mate?
I mean, what is there to say? It was a typical standard Leeds United performance, wasn't it? You know, you start off well, everything's looking exciting. You're saying, oh, there is improvements in our play. You know what? We are creating better chances. We are actually, the patterns of play seem to be there. We're playing Burnley off the park at times there, but you miss chances. You miss chances. You don't take them. And what happens? You give away one opportunity. Again, a happenstance thing. Solomon slips on his arse and they go down the other end. And listen, did they deserve the game? No. Should we have had a penalty in the first half? Yes. Should we have had other decisions that I think didn't go our way? Yes. Were we hard done by? Yes. But when you miss chances upon chances, and we sat here yesterday, did we not? And I asked the question to a few people, can you hang your hat on Joseph for a whole season? I'm not here to throw credit. I'm not here to throw the man under the bus. He's a young man, but you have to ask the questions. Is he profligate in front of goals? Is this an issue that Leeds United, if we don't address sooner or later, is going to come back to bite us? Not just him, by the way. Nonto missed a gilt-edged sitter in that game. He is not getting away with it at all. That was a big chance, but I did think he played very well. I will say, on a positive note, I thought the front three in behind the striker meshed very, very well. I liked the way even Solomon was coming into the 10 at times. I thought he was very, very effective in there. Nonto, some of the balls he was playing when he cut inside was very good. I do think Aronson was drifting in and out personally, a little bit invisible at times, a bit of Casper the Ghost situation for me. But that's probably the main positive going forward. I don't get the changes again. I don't get why you waited to the 70th minute to make them. I don't get why when you're searching for a goal, you're taking Firpo off for Byram. I don't get these things. But I know I did touch on Joseph, and just to bring it round, circle back to that, I don't want to lamp too much criticism on him. And the reason I will still say I would still start Joseph is because of what I saw one patch in the game. Solomon presses very high up. People don't give him credit, actually, for his physical prowess, Solomon. But he pressed very, very high up on that left-hand side of the pitch. And the second he touched the ball, the second he got a foot on the ball, Joseph was on him like a rash. And that's what you need when you press. That's the problem Leeds had at portions last year. That's why Perot will never play in the 9 for Leeds United, because Farke needs that. We need that. You need to press as a unit. You need to press as a team. And that is what was helping us get a lot of opportunities. That is what was helping unsettle Burnley. Because yes, we lost, but we were the better team. And Burnley looked shaky there. And there were a lot of options for us to get at them for that very reason. Because they were never comfortable and they were never able to set themselves at the back. Because
Can
I jump in, Joe?
Of course. Yeah.
I tend to disagree, honestly, with JT here. I don't think we were the better team, honestly, because there's many ways to winning a football game. They come to Ellen Road to play that type of football. They did. And the main worry, I think we can all agree on this one, the main worry is that they needed to do very little to beat us. Because today we weren't up there with the mentality. Again, to me, at times, there were patterns similar to certain games like the Portsmouth game, also with the Borough game in the League Cup, but especially with the playoff final, because possession, ball to the wings, ball in the middle, running with the ball, passing the ball back, the 2-6 again playing the ball. We dominated the possession. We had the ball a lot. We didn't have creativity in the middle because we lack of a type of player that can bring you playmaking, that can bail you out in the middle when there's a low block or there's density with a lot of players of bodies in front of their area. So we relied again on the wingers. I appreciated Solomon, apart from his dip, of course, he was really unlucky there. I think Gnonto tried to create, but was really stuck today on the other hand. So I don't think he played well, honestly, today. I think if you compare him to Koleosho on the other side, I think Koleosho was more sharp than Gnonto because they're the two Italians, So that's the main worry for me, because when they came to Ellen to put up a fight, we know how they play. We know Hannibal in the face of Solomon. We know Brownlee how he plays. We weren't up for a fight. There weren't much players up for a fight today. Probably none of them, because no one went to Hannibal when Hannibal went into the face of Solomon. The main worry for me going forward is that this team in this kind of game doesn't have a leader. There's a lot of technical leaders if you want, but there's not a mentality leader. They are full of physical players that can bring up the fight, and they absolutely switched those, broke those into their territory, into the way they play football. So fair play to them for that, because we weren't able to establish our technical, talented football. They have talented players too, Koleosho, But if you look at the majority of them players, they are all physical, old-style EFL players. Even if, for example, Esteve, he played in the Premier League last season. He's a Premier League defender, of course. But, he's also a aggressive player, He gets into you. So I think the main worry today, of course, first defeat of the season in the league. So no drama at all, because it's a wake-up call, like Paul said, But going forward, there's patterns in this defeat that were already there. For example, in other games, like the mentality, the leadership, and especially the lack of a technical player that can bail you out in the middle when you're absolutely stuck. And if you don't get the central route, you have to go every time to the wingers, and that's the main problem, because Joseph was forced to go towards the ball, play all the play, and that means going far from goal, getting far from goal, and I think that penalized him too today, honestly, to be fair.
100%. I do want to quickly just get some super chats in and then just move it on. So William Morrison said, statement made, beat us without playing well. Farke's first touch, everything attack was down the left. We had no right side. We've seen this too much under Farke, not breaking down low blocks. This should kick us up the arse. We're below Oxford now. Next 5 games, gigantic. I think it's very early, but I hear what you're saying. So we've got some tough games coming up. Coventry, Sunderland. There's some very tough games. Sean Ely says, Farke out. As I've always said, subs were terrible today. What's the excuse to back Farke today? That is the sort of avenue I wanted to go down, because I know there will be some that'll say Farke out. There was a lot in my comments afterwards. Where does people land on that? Does anyone have an opinion on that for me?
Christmas.
Who are we gonna get? Who are we gonna get right now?
It's a bit crazy.
I just don't get it. Like, Do they not
Yeah.
remember, not last season, but the season before when we had the manager merry-go-round? Do people not remember before Bielsa, the manager merry-go-round? Like, are people that dense that they're just quite happy to say, chuck it all in the bin? Like,
After
this
one
is such
loss.
yeah, one loss. And may I as well just say that this probably means that we're winning the league, because Leicester lost to us both games last season and Ipswich lost to us both games last
Lovely
season.
Hopefully,
So we're winning the
fingers
league
crossed.
because, you know,
Yeah.
that's it. We've lost to
Yeah.
promotion rivals. So just, you know, get your head out your backsides, people.
It's far
Like,
too,
it's just,
yeah.
it's just one game. It's
Hmm.
substitutions, yes. Like, I fully agree. Like, that just annoys the hell out of me. But just come on, who else would you want? Because the moment we get somebody else in, people are going to be like, oh, well, he's crap, he's not good enough. Well, there's literally no pleasing people. So just deal with them. You know, we also went up against the only other manager.
One of the other favourites as well.
Yeah,
One of the
exactly.
other
But he's
favourites.
the only manager other than Farker that's managed to get promoted twice. So, of course, it was going to be a tough game, regardless of the team that he was managing, who, again, are another parachute payment team. So, and yes, they lost players, but they didn't lose as many as everybody thought they were going to lose in the last couple of days. They've still got a relatively good squad. So it's just, that's fine. You know, it's like,
the problem is that they will tell you that.
Sorry, just to clarify, when I say Christmas, I don't mean me personally. Me personally, I think Farker, he's got this season to get us up. Basically, I think this is his.
You're
season.
just saying you would assess it by Christmas.
I would assess it again. I would assess it again at Christmas and look at it and see where it is. I wouldn't want to get rid of him, but I think that the board might look at it slightly differently if he's not doing what he needs to be doing.
Yeah. And you know, the only other problem is that people saying you need to get Fark out. You know, they tell you, oh, we should go and get Potter, we should go and get Moyes. So unrealistic picks, you know, in terms of that those picks cannot happen, you know, in terms of appointments. But yeah, Fark, I think going forward, the only thing that needs to change is that he needs to manage better, as we saw last season, the substitution, the timing of the substitution. Because again, how can a player have an impact if he plays 15 minutes every game? He cannot. He cannot adapt. He cannot glue with his teammates. He can glue in training, of course, but the games are a different territory. And of course, too, the two number 6 again. He cannot do anything about the 10 because he can try to play other players there and adapt them. In certain games, Adelson can shine there, you know, because we're playing against certain teams. In other games, he will be nullified if he plays there because we're playing against different teams, more physical teams. So he has work to do, Farke, but I still back him, honestly, going forward. But he needs to change something, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. I think in terms of like the tail of the tape, I mean, just to have a look at some of the numbers that Chris from LUFC Data has put out. If we talk about Leeds United, 71% possession, 35 opposition box touches, 17 shots, 14 chances created. I mean, I don't remember them, but 9 shots inside the box, 8 off target, 4 on target, 2 big chances, and an XG of just 1. 0.85 open play. That's what needs to change is the level of chances that we are creating. And I do think a lot of credit does need to go to Burnley in terms of how compact they were. When we did come inside, it was very narrow at times, but there was nowhere for our players to go. There was a number of times where Solomon cut in and you're waiting for the angle to open up. No angle. Nonto is waiting for the angle. No angle to get a shot because they just moved everything across. So in terms of tactically, we have to say Scott Parker got it bang on today and outwitted Daniel Farke. These games will happen. Look, on another day, Solomon doesn't slip. Joseph takes his chance. And you know, if Joseph scores that chance in the first half, we probably win the game. But it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here now and be like, right, get him out. This isn't good enough. It wasn't our day today. That's the way I say it. Is he exempt from? No, because like everyone said, the changes were off. I don't know what bringing Pirro on in that situation does. Tanaka being so late, should he have changed Ampadu maybe at half time? I'd said it at the time. Put Gruev there and bring on Tanaka. Could he have done that because Ampadu was carrying knock?
Ramazani too, for me.
What's that? Sorry.
Ramazani too for me was too late. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Because he injected something, did Ramazani?
absolutely.
He did.
Injected some
You could
pace.
see. Yeah, No, he did. He injected pace, mate. He were winning the ball with the press. You know, there was that one where he got it slightly behind Pirro, but he was the only sub, actually, who came on and actually did something. I know Tanaka didn't have enough time, but Rothwell, I'm still yet to see it, folks. I don't know. Pirro, obviously, we know still. He doesn't do. I don't want to batter him because he scored the other week, and you're saying, like, when you're in that position, fine, but when we're in a game trying to break down a low, that's not the game for him, is it? And then again, that is on the man. That is on the manager. But I do think it's
as well. Sorry, pal. Important to note as well that Burnley squad, up until the last game before the international break, had never played together before. Never played together before. Some of those players only met the rest of the team the morning of the game that they played just before the international break. So they've not even had a long time to gel either. So that's my slight concern about everything. Is just that little bit of disjointedness. I don't know if he was worried about people and international stuff. We know the Welsh boys had a bit of a tough couple of games. We know, Solomon was away on international duty. Tanaka was away as well. Maybe is it because he thinks that they're not fit enough to come on and play a little bit longer? I don't know, but just I don't think he's putting out what he thinks is his first team squad yet. I really don't think he's putting out what he thinks is his first team squad.
Really? And who would you think is missing out of that?
James.
You think James would be part of Farke's first team squad?
I think he really likes.
Over who? Because that's wild. Because you're talking about dropping either Nonto or Solomon. That means Solomon's above.
I think Aronson goes middle. Aronson comes out in the middle, and Nonto goes to the 10. Potentially.
Ooh, but I think the only reason Nonto even works in the middle is Aronson there, because Aronson can play in the middle and can drift out wide. I think if you're talking Nonto, Dan James and Solomon in there, I don't see how any of them can work for a standout number 10 for an entire game. Personally, I think that disjoints it.
Well, the biggest problem
that is the team, mate. That is the team. I don't think there's many excuses that can be.
I think it would be Tanaka, wouldn't it? Maybe Tanaka for Gruev long term, but outside of that.
Maybe Tanaka, but then even then, if he had enough trust in Tanaka, why would he not bring him on earlier? Why did he bring Rothwell on instead? So, yes, I know he's fresh. He's fresh. Of course, he's fresh. I know.
Yeah, he's just played in Asia as well, and
of course.
Yeah.
So
I get that. But come on, like we're making excuses for him here. At the end of the day,
no, I agree with what you're saying, JT. I don't think
like
James
his changes. I don't like the way he does the same mistakes as last season. I'm seeing there was a few too many times it was a bit more sideways. I would say I have seen improvements though. I hear what you were saying, Andrea, when you said they came. There's multiple ways to win a football match. That's the way they decided to win it. They decided to play a bit more of a compact game to catch Leeds. And it was a smart idea because everyone that does that, that's the blueprint to beating Leeds United. And that's the way it is. I did see improvements, though. I will say that. So I'm not going to level it. I'm not going to level too much criticism at yet because it is a new squad. Granted, Burnley had a very new squad as well. They had Jaden Anthony and Hannibal, who just signed to running the show against Leeds. Ironically, I mean, Jaden Anthony, he's laughing at us right now. He's pissing his pants laughing at Leeds United, the side that didn't want to give him any game time. He's come back to our own turf and done us in again. But listen, as I said, I'll give it a few games before I start going too ham on the players. But I will not allow really for many excuses in terms of squad. He has the players at his disposal.
100%.
He just needs to figure out how to use them.
But the whole thing that Paul is saying, let's play, for example, Aronson in the 10, Nyonto in the 10, JT is saying Aronson in the 10, these are the two main worries for me going forward. I'm absolutely confident in this team, but there's two big gaps again. I always said that. The other number 9, because, we see that Joseph is still young. He still needs time. Okay, he scored a great goal against Hull. He moves well. Much of the game today, he really struggled because they forced him out far from goal. And we don't have another number 9 to play in place of him that can have the same impact and can play that type of football that Falke wants from the number 9. Because Joseph is the typical 9 for a Falke system, and you see that. But apart from him, you don't have another one like him in terms of how he plays, in terms of how he moves. Because you have Bamford, who is injured, and Pirot, who is a completely different player. We don't know yet, after one full season, his position. We don't know where he plays. We don't know what he can bring to the team. apart from the goals into the box last season. The other big miss, again, because we're discussing it, is the number 10. Going forward, again, Farke will make a huge mistake if he keeps playing with 2 number 6 in this team with no clear number 10 into the side. Because if you want to change something, okay, let's play with a 6 and a box-to-box 8. And that box-to-box 8 is Autanaka.
So, rounding off,
Can I
obviously,
just say one
go
thing?
on, Evie, yeah.
I agree with Paul about the Dan James situation. And in fact, it's not just my kind of love of Dan James, from a kind of a neutral point of view. Even the commentators were saying about the fact that the game really missed somebody with Dan James's pace. And when you've got Bogle, who is Firpo and Aronson weren't really helping Bogle out defensively. Dan James gets involved with the nitty-gritty. He gets involved, and Solomon was also helping out Firpo defensively as well. So you have to have a good combination of players that have a good partnership running up and down the flanks if you're expecting the fullbacks to push forward. And for me, Nonto and Aronson weren't actually helping Bogle out, which was then leaving him massively exposed. And also, Dan James only, I think, got a couple less goal contributions last season than Rutter, and we were devastated when Rutter went. And Nonto didn't get anywhere near his goal contributions, and they didn't play a dissimilar amount of games by the end of the season. And also, for me, I'd be taking Nonto off before I took Aronson off, because I think we lost a lot when Aronson and Solomon came off the pitch. Nonto was invisible by the end of the game. So for me, when you're talking about who Dan James comes on for, if you do move Aronson into that 10 role, then you take Nonto off, because so far he hasn't contributed as much this season as Aronson has. So I don't understand why we're in a massive, if Dan James is to come back in the team, and we do know that Farke is loyal with players who have served him well in the past. And when it comes to home games, Nonto's better away from home statistically last season, and Dan James was better at home. So why don't you play? I know obviously this time it's different because he's injured. I get that. I'm not trying to tell people how to suck eggs and stuff. But for me, that's what when you've got him available, you play Dan James and you move Aronson, because Aronson is a workhorse far more than Nonto in a lot of aspects. And
So who
if
plays
you want
the 10?
that.
Where do you play Ramazani then?
You said move Aronson, so who plays the 10?
Aronson plays the 10, Dan James plays on the right.
Oh, so you just drop Nonto out the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because so far for me, Aronson has actually contributed more to the team than Nonto has, but we've got this obsession that Nonto is.
He didn't have a good game today either. He didn't have a good game.
So far, he's had a season and a half, and we still think we still visualize him, this player, as the one who scored against Manchester United. And actually, is he as good as we think that he is? Because he had over half a season to prove it, and Dan James got more goals and assists in half a season than Nonto did.
Uncomfortable conversations.
I think Willie, the main problem with him is that he's a left winger for me, because where we saw him play better was on the left, and since we got relegated, he's been playing on the right. He's struggling, I think, on the right. If you look at the goals he scored, the majority of times were him cutting inside, so towards the left, And right now, I tend to give, because he's not doing well for me. He's not having as much as an impact as he could, But the main problem is that we brought in Solomon, top player for the league, but he's a left winger.
Yeah,
it's the same, You either play Solomon or Nonto, so you have to move one to his natural position on the other side. So maybe now I think we should try Solomon, Aronson, and Ramazani, just to see, and as Willie is an impact sub, because I think he can really have an impact. For example, today you had Solomon, who went to Hungary with Israel. They played 2 games there, and he returned from the international break. Willie played in the international break, but for 45 minutes in the first game of the under-21s of Italy, he was rested. it was rested precautionally because they need to play against Norway. So it was more fresh than Solomon. So going forward, because there's also other games coming up, the Cardiff one, the Coventry one, Solomon, and then you can interchange them, because right now I think Willie can have more impact also as a super sub. I think he needs a super sub in this side because you are full of players. Ramazani could be also the super sub, but he can be the super sub if he plays 5 minutes, out of the bench. That's the problem too.
Yeah, I think.
Can I just say one?
Yeah,
more
yeah,
thing?
and I'm going to round off.
Just Mark and Ben in the comments. I see you. I hear you. Yeah, I'm the one who gets asked on these podcasts, not you.
Yes, Evie! Taking shots, man. I love that. Yeah. What I do want to do is round off. Great Sean, great points, and at the end of the day, the changes work great. Everything we can do this, but in order for us to go get a positive result at Cardiff up next, then we have to we have to make changes. I think the key thing is, from what everybody's saying, maybe we change the three behind Joseph. Is there even a case that, I don't know, you try someone instead of Joseph? I'm just throwing things out there. And then, of course, I think a lot of us would like to see Tanaka or maybe even Rothwell in the 6, and maybe in the midfield, in the 8, alongside Ampadu. And maybe he'd have done that if he'd have had more time on the training pitch with his players, etc. We can't get away from the fact, in order to give Farker some credit, we had 13, 14 players away on international duty, so maybe that's why they weren't used. We've now got a week of training. Then let's see what he can bring. But I think if we can make some changes and see what's about. And Jamie, 100%. But you can't win them all. So I'm not going to say because he's lost today, get him out. Burnley, good game plan. They got their 3 points. Were we poor? Yes. Could we have done better? Yes. On another day, might we have won the game if we took our chances? Yes. But I'm not going to sit here now and be like, right, we lost that game, get him out because we're not front and centre. It's 5 games, 6 games. I don't know what it is. We're going to be fine. Mark Clark, thank you for becoming a member. Does anyone want I'm going to stop. Is there anything anyone wants to say before I do finish up? That looks
I think we said everything pretty much.
Yeah. 41 games left. I'll be back tonight for some Premier League football, folks, if you want to join me in final word and stuff tomorrow. Thank you, Evie. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, JT. And thank you, Andrea. And most of all, thank you, all the viewers. Okay, so big up to you all, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.